Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. This is Scott Lefante, your host for Innovate with Ludia. And today I have another special guest from Ludia Consulting as part of our Community Summit lead into or leading into Community Summit, however you want to say it. And it is the CEO and co-founder of Ludia Consulting, Mr. Lucas Diaz. Lucas, how are you today?
Hey, Scott. Great, great. Thank you for having me. It's fantastic being here. Good to see. Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah. I'm matching today. I got black goes with green, and then I have on khaki shorts. So it's typical Florida.
yeah, that's awesome. Make sure you don't walk by any green screens or anything like that. You're gonna disappear.
Right. Well, I felt that with everything going on and really Community Summit, little over a month away. So lots happening between now and then. We couldn't have a Innovate with Ludia podcast on without having the Mr. Lucas Diaz, especially with everything that you've been doing with the community and and all of the involvement within Community Summit in and of itself with the sessions that you're having.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We this year has been incredibly transformational because AI has been around for a long time, but I think this time it came into our doorstep with regards to what's capable, what's possible, what everybody's doing, Microsoft's direction, and things like that. And it's been incredible because it's transformed our company. What we're doing is transformed our customers, what they're expecting, and also the technology that we use every day, right? So it's had a profound impact. So it relates to Summit in a way that we have the pre-conference, right? We're going to be talking about Vixel, how it was 12. What is it? Where are they now? Type of story. What did we learn? What was good?
Yeah.
What was hard? But also in the sessions afterward, talking about the maturity model and how people adapt or incorporate AI. So yeah, it's going
Yeah,
to be good.
that's exciting. Yeah, and I know especially for those that are coming in on that Sunday for the pre-conference. So you have that pre-conference AI summit, which is I believe it starts at 8:30 in the morning and it ends at 5 Central.
Yeah,
And there's all these different sessions throughout. I guess I would call them mini sessions throughout that day. And so the nice thing is that you're at 2 o'clock Central, which is perfect for those that are getting in maybe sometime in the morning, give some time to get some coffee, get some food in, and then really dive into, what AI has done with Vixo and the journey and the transformation. And of course, the trials and tribulations, right? Because we all know as in our own personal lives and even, me building co-pilots for, Ludia and building them for others, it's a trial by process,
yeah.
and it's evolving so quickly, and then all of a sudden you turn and you blink and something new is there.
hmm hmm
Eh, or something that you were using before is no longer there because it's been replaced by something else, but it has a profound impact on what you've already done. And so it's definitely a fascinating area and really exciting about the AI pre-conference because of how much it's evolving and how quickly it's evolving. I don't think I've ever seen any industry or any area evolve as quickly
Totally.
as AI.
Totally. You know what's interesting is that at first everybody's like, it's going to take our jobs, it's going to do our jobs for us. In reality, I don't see that as the case. I think in reality is an agility factor, is a tool, right? So back in the day, it's like there was fire, the wheel, computers, internet, now AI, right? It's one of
Yeah,
those accelerators of productivity that is just going to change everything. But yeah, it's evolving every single day. It's pretty bizarre, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's fascinating. We can talk about that all day, Mr.
All,
Scott.
all day, exactly, and that's what Raz and I call Kevin Razavi. He's now goes by Raz. We were talking about that on the last session, and how it's just another tool for the frontline worker in their tool belt, right?
Yeah.
It's not replacing technicians. AI is not going to go and drive a vehicle and get out of the vehicle and go fix some complex machinery. But what it can do is it can give you additional tool sets and analytics and insight into what may be the issue or how to resolve the issue.
Yeah, it brings agility, right? That's one of those things. So speaking around the session, right? So we're going to have the AI pre-conference. We're going to talk about what we learned. So one of the cool things, and I think Bobby said it best the other day, and it was about not the precision, but about the results that AI brings. So interestingly enough, AI is a non-deterministic engine. So it will give you two answers that are very similar. They're both correct for the same question. So it's not about being precise and being correct. It's about bringing the results that you expect, right? And so having that expectation and so on, and the boundaries that are associated with that, that's something new, right? Configuring dynamics or consulting is very kind of black or white. It either works or it doesn't. This is, yes, it works in 10 different ways or responds in different ways. And so
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. And then on the other session, mastering the AI maturity model, we talk about just how do we go from stage one, from some chat GPT all the way
Yeah.
through, right?
Yeah.
Like some super mature.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that back in the day, and I'll be talking about it in one of my sessions, is the field service maturity model, right? Going from
Yeah.
your reactive to uber proactive with machine learning and things of that nature. It's the same sort of concept with AI, right? And we have a lot of organizations that are somewhere, some of them are at that beginning stages, some of them are in the middle, not many are, towards that the higher end of the maturity model.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. And so it's kind of interesting because you have to realize as to where you are, where your systems are, where your processes are, what your results you're expecting to get out of it, and how do you test AI? How do you test it? Right?
Yep.
What is correct and what is sort of correct, and also how do you improve it over time? There's so many considerations rather than just say turn it on and call it a day. I mean, you could
Yeah.
with M365, right? It just comes embedded, but that is very different. As an agility tool. We call it Clippy on steroids,
Yeah.
right? like it's just Clippy just gone AI. But now is how do you get your processes to produce something much more meaningful
Yeah.
cross-platform?
Well, it's sort of like the AI training that I'm building for internally, right? And one of the things that is funny as I was building out the training is like garbage in, garbage out,
Yeah,
or garbage,
absolutely.
or terrible question asked is going to or produce a terrible response potentially, right? So some of it is you have to be prepared, to your point, like the data and the systems, and then of course looking at it from your end users. How are your end users going to trying to predict how they're going to ask AI a specific question to get a response?
Yeah.
Because everyone asks it quite differently. I mean, you just got it doesn't mean you have to get it so precise to, Bobby's point, but how do you get the meat of it so that
Right.
AI returns the expected results time and time again?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so we're going to talk about that a lot in the summit, right? So again, we're going to be there in the booth. We're going to be there in the sessions. We're going to be there potentially at the keynote as well. We're going to talk about, there's other areas to Ludia, but AI is a big part. So look forward to having many discussions there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so the interesting thing is I was looking at your schedule, and so you have your pre-conference on Sunday, and then your Monday. So
Hmm.
Lucas has another session Monday, the 14th from 2:30 to 4. So it's a really good one on navigating the AI landscape, the AI journey and the AI maturity journey, I should say, and that's in location 209, and it really is meant for those folks in that understand, at least what I'm getting from they understand what AI and Copilot is. They understand, but they're in that kind of that limbo stage of, okay, we know what it is, we know kind of what we want to do. How do we get there?
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. It's kind of funny. We've talked to several folks, large organizations, small ones, and we used to have, this research. How do we call it? We have an offering, right, on Copilot, and we used to kind of go about it one way. After we learned a little bit on how it worked, we tweaked it a little bit to bring a lot of impact. What I'm trying to say here is that AI is such an evolution that everything that we do, how we think about it, also has to change. How we validate it, the change management, and everything. So we're going to talk a lot about that. It's 90 minutes. That's a lot of time, man. You
It
guys.
is it is a lot of time, but you know what I'm finding is that we had that session at Field Service USA, which
Mhm.
talked a little bit about the maturity model, and but really it was an interactive workshop,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
felt that we had an hour and it wasn't enough,
Mhm.
or 45 minutes, and it just yeah, I mean, so I can only imagine that a topic such as this one, in theory, I mean, an hour and a half is going to go by like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, it's going to be fascinating, right? And it builds upon each other. It's an exciting time, right, to be alive, to see this, and look forward to just sharing all our knowledge with everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's what I really enjoy about Community Summit and presenting is being able to interact with individuals that come to the session. And in some cases, I was talking about it with Kevin last week. Is during the COVID times, there'd be some folks like you'd have some of these sessions where it's remote, and there's 3 or 4 people on because who wants to attend a conference call, so to speak. But there's been some sessions where there's really good sessions stacked up against me, and I go, oh man, I'm not going to have a full room, which is okay. There's some sessions where I had like 10 or 12 people, and I made it super interactive, right? So I was able to just pivot and say, okay, let's make it where I'm asking them questions and they're providing some insight, and then we can dive into different areas. But I think with this session here in the AI maturity model, standing room only. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
I hope so. It's just so fascinating. And so one of the things, funny enough, that we also learn about Field Service USA that I think we're going to apply here is that making it practical, right? Not just up pie in the sky, here's what AI does. Everybody kind of knows and has a general idea, and that message is repeated everywhere. It's being like, boom, here's an example. Here's how we used it. Here's what happened. Here's how a company's utilizing it, right? So we also will bring, funny enough, some other experience that we learned at Vixo, at Xbox, at some of our other customers as well, to give some very pointed feedback and insights.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, because as I was looking at the agenda and just the different tracks, and then looking at all the AI and Copilot, I mean, there's AI and Copilot
Yep.
sessions at the wazoo, and then there's sessions that aren't even probably classified as AI and Copilot, but have an AI flavor in there, if you will, or as you would call it, salsa.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and so I mean, you might as well just call it the AI conference. I mean, because
Hey, there's one in March. Did you know that?
I I did not.
Yeah, so there's going to be one in March in San Diego for the AI conference only. Funny enough, we already have a spot there. We're going to continue our roadshow, I guess you could say. We will be there presenting full on, and it's all AI. It's in San Diego. I guess it's a beautiful place. I don't even know the details, but I know it's in March. I know it's in San Diego, and I know it's going to be incredible.
I've only flown into San Diego and then driven up the coast to go to a client site. So, but the airport was nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny enough, same, but everybody's excited, and I think in that
Nice.
time of the year it should be incredible. But yeah, I'm very looking forward to seeing also some of the familiar faces, all those folks that we talked about for so long that we met, that have grown, either at the partner community, users, and so on. I'm super excited for Summit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we can't forget about your third session, which
Uh,
is a
uh,
is
uh,
a
uh.
pivot from AI, but there obviously will be some probably AI in there. But we're going back towards now our roots, which is physical operations and field service, and talking about the strategic approach to avoid implementation pitfalls. So it's not
Yeah.
pitfalls of field service, right? Because we know the technology works. It doesn't matter if you're using Dynamics or Salesforce or some other tool. The tool itself does what it's supposed to do. It's just a matter of how you implement it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Every implementation we learn a little bit something more, right? And I've been doing this close to, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years on just service operations, and we learn a lot. We learn what works, what could get us right now. Funny enough, we're post COVID, back to on sites again quite a bit, and we're learning a lot. So it's just really understanding, how do you plan for it? How do you consider service as a process, not a tool? Also, how do you identify things like that are popping up here and there that are early warning signs that you have some challenges in your implementation? And Ludia, one of those things is that we learn from our mistakes. Not everything's rainbows and unicorns, right? And
Right.
being able to share those with the community, I think that's probably the best thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think and your session's also going to touch on one that is near and dear to my heart, which is that training and change management piece, because so many times organizations as a whole, and it doesn't have to be the implementation partner, but there's this less emphasis or a late emphasis on, oh, we have to train them. Oh, we should get out messages. Oh, we should
Yeah.
tell them this is coming. And then it just becomes too little too late. Right. And so, I know we've spoken many times with customers about organizational change management starting day one, pre-day one, right? And starting understanding how you're going to train, who's going to do the training. Are you going to break it up into groups? Where are your users throughout the US or other countries? And so what's going to be the training plan? And implementation partners such as ourselves and Ludia Consulting can help with that, but we need customers to help drive that bus.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so I don't know. I'm gonna get some authorization here, whether I can do it or not. Is that there's a new version of field service out there as well, right? And I'm gonna
Yeah.
add that into that is I call field service light, or modern workplace version of field service. I'm gonna add that into the learnings as well here. Basically how to avoid, when to decide on which, and how to have successful implementations, because service is hard. It really is, and it
Yeah.
deals with folks that like to be hands-on away from technology sometimes. So how to involve them, to your point, man. Change management, organizational readiness is it's everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. I mean, especially if you can talk about, right, the field service light modern work version versus the full blown version, when you might look at one versus the other. Very similar to the one of the sessions that I'm having, I think, where I conflict with your session on Monday. I have a session on project operations and extending project operations. But one of the things that I'm talking about is, when to use projects and when do you use field service,
Hmm.
right? Or where's that gray area? And because there is a gray area, it's not black or white
Yeah.
sometimes. And so understanding that, and it could be, and I'm not, no spoiler alerts here, it could be the same way for the different flavors of field service.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of interesting. I remember when we used to create long work orders for installs, right? And that's just all
Oh,
it was, right? Or PSA was out there in the early stages and so on. But yeah, there's a new world that's also emerging. I think Microsoft's also catching on as to what the modern field service experience needs to be. And so it's going to be, yeah, the future for service is going to be fascinating. So yes, we're going to talk about not only field service light, field service pro, I guess you can call it, and the pitfalls and when to decide amongst this. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
yeah.
I think we had this session about 3 years ago when we were learning, some of the areas on field service. functionality with the engineering team. Now, I mean, several years later, we should have a lot more insights.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, right, I mean, everyone, the term's been out now for at least 4 or 5 years, but the silver tsunami, it's still here.
Yeah.
It's still going, and we all know, I mean, I've seen it now with, the younger generation, the frontline workers coming in, they don't want to be in, right? If you're going to give them a tool that is quick and they don't have to jump around from place to place to place to enter in information, or they can talk to it, or whatever it may be that's going to make it easier, because they just don't want outdated technology.
Yeah. Well, you know what's happening. So we did a presentation a while back, exactly to that, is that the pandemic changed the way we view the world, right? The way that we interacted, right? So you can get a pizza, you can get a date, you can get a car, you can buy a car without ever leaving your house. You can get your
For my
latest.
daughter,
What's that?
I bought a car for my daughter without leaving the house. They delivered it right to the house. Test
Right,
drove it,
right.
liked it, good go.
That's amazing, right? So the way that we interacting with technology and what it does for us and what we can do for it change, right? So before we were much more tolerant of a UI that was clunky, but yeah, whatever did the trick. Now we became so resilient or so reliant on the way that it worked. And these apps did all these crazy things. So now field service is the same. And as we get those folks who are graduating from universities and going into trades or apprenticeships, they want the same. So now this whole paradigm of those folks entering the workspace or workplace is changing, plus silver tsunami, right? So all the folks that remain you got to capture that knowledge, make it usable. That's why the AI tools are so important.
And so having the tool, right, the right tools, the right technology, capturing the right data that you need from your frontline workers or your back office folks, right, is only going to help with that AI maturity model that we spoke about, which will be one of the sessions, right? Because they all are pieces to the puzzle, right?
Exactly,
There's
totally.
no one big piece of AI. It's a piece here, piece there, and putting it
Hmm.
all together in one cohesive piece or one cohesive unit. So it's like, okay, now AI works the way our organization needs it to work.
Hmm. So it's interesting because AI and service go hand in hand. So everything we do is all physical operations, which is cool, right? Because it's all about getting people to do a certain task or certain job efficiently. So yeah, they're all
Yeah.
related in reality, right? So
Yeah.
come and see a service nerd, right? Or service nerds at Summit. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
incredible.
Yep. And so your third session and final session is Wednesday, October 16th from 9:15 to 10:15 Central in location 214D. And so that is the
Yeah.
D365, a strategic approach to avoid implementation pitfalls. So you'll see there's lots of great sessions by Lucas and by Ludia, and of course the rest of the
And you?
community throughout the
Yeah.
week. And and me, we'll throw me in there. And when we're not in sessions, we'll be at booth 1217, really waiting to and looking forward to speaking to users and other partners, and sharing success stories and really helping out the community, because that's what Summit is all about, right?
Yeah.
Sharing that knowledge, networking, and really helping to be part of something that's bigger. I mean, this thing's
Yeah.
grown tremendously since I think the first time I've been to Summit.
Yeah, absolutely. So Scott, it's great. I'm glad that you mentioned the community piece. So wanted to kind of introduce something here. So something fun that is being happening at Ludia. We're all about altruism, right? And helping our communities because it has a background in honestly the future of our country, the future of who we are, our states, our cities, and so on. So at Summit, what we have done is we have partnered up with Microsoft BPGI. BPGI stands for Black Partner Growth Initiative. And with them, we identified 15 partner organizations or emerging partners that are trying to break into the Dynamics world, to the Microsoft ecosystem. And as part of our altruism, we're actually going to dedicate half of our booth to them. So they have a place to call home, to call a baseline, to basically get the introductions that we know from our team, and also enrich the community and bring a little bit of diversity to the summit overall. So we have 15 incredible companies. Everybody should be getting an email from DCI announcing who these companies are, what they do, and where to see them on 12/17. But in reality, every year, last year we did Tech Fluent, right? We dedicate half of our booth. This year we're doing BPGI, BCPA. So we're going to be there really promoting our communities and the growth. Interestingly enough, right? So you jump from service operations to this complex things like AI to really things that also matter, such as community and donating
Yeah.
that space. So please, for those who listening, please don't forget to stop by because it's going to be a poppin', as they call it, poppin' booth.
That's right. And I'll be ready in case maybe you'll get interviewed and we'll put it on the podcast live.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're going to be at the keynote introducing the group. We're going to be highlighting them, and it's all about empowering the communities because, right, it's that's how you make a great community around each other, empowering others and sharing the wealth.
Exactly. And I was going to say that there's plenty of work to go around for everybody, and there's specialists here and there's specialists there, and I mean, so I think it's great that what we're doing and what we're a part of in terms of not only the community summit and altruism, but what we do throughout the year within Ludia as a whole from an altruistic perspective and donating time and really ensuring that our folks are going out there and giving back to their communities.
Yeah, that's all we have, guys, at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
If you go home to an empty community, it doesn't make any sense, right? You're there living in a desert, I guess, and you never plan on interacting with anyone. But that's our goal, is to enrich our communities and live really through the growth of who they are and what they accomplish. So yeah, come and see us. It's going to be exciting. And I think we have in total 20 people. So that would make 25 people in one booth.
Wow. Come on
So
by. Let's
yeah,
make
get
it more.
ready. It's party time,
That's right.
literally. And so we're gonna have a good time. And yeah. I'm super excited for it.
That's great. So would you say that's the really what you're looking forward to the most in terms of community summit? I mean, I know going out there and speaking and sharing the knowledge, but would you say being a part of this and sharing our booth, is that one of the biggest highlights for you for summit, or is there others?
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's seeing you in person, seeing our team, seeing our fellow partner community, seeing the customers again. It's like a giant welcoming party. It's like when you work, like, what is it?
Yeah.
Cheers, right? Norman walks in, right, and everybody knows your name.
Norm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in that sort of thing, plus being able to be human and give back. So his business is it's like a mullet, right?
Yeah.
Business in the front, party in the back, type of thing. So our booth is kind of like that. So just everything, just mixing it all, honestly.
Yeah. It's one of those areas where I could say when I go to the summit, like, for some that are presenting, or it's stressful. For me, just it feels like a extension of home,
Yeah.
right? Because so many people, the topics, you're really looking forward to seeing colleagues or former colleagues and partners and
Hmm.
contributing. There's just so much excitement. It's like no other conference, to be honest, that I've ever been to. um, it's just great. People come up and ask questions left and right. I love it.
Yeah. That's how you can tell you're an introvert or an extrovert, right?
Yeah, I definitely have never been accused of being an introvert. That's for sure.
Yeah. I can vouch for that. And so, yeah, it's the ability to really interact. And this year we have Ignite in November. We have Power Platform. We have Dynamic Community Summit, then Field Service USA in the spring, which will be there again. We're going to be in other industry conferences, and we're going to be at the Microsoft SMC conference, interestingly, at the same time as Summit. So we're going to clone ourselves and be in two places at once. But no, it's just really excited to connecting with everybody. I think
Excellent.
Summit is kind of like the party that kicks it all.
Yeah, it's the kickoff party. That's it.
Uh-huh.
It's we're pre-gaming. It's perfect. It's perfect. Well, I know, so just to wrap up here, so Lucas again has his 3 sessions. So on Sunday, October 13th, there's the AI Copilot pre-conference. And so that's starting at 8:30. But if you're looking specifically to hear about how AI and Copilots at Vixo and the impact and the journey, come to the session at 2:00 from 2 to 2:45 and hear Lucas along with Bobby Honeycutt and Jim McCarthy from Vixo really talk about and share their journey in AI. And then we also then have Lucas's session on Monday, the 14th, from 2:30 to 4 in location 209, and that's navigating the AI landscape, the Microsoft Dynamics Copilot and journey to AI maturity. And then Wednesday, October 16th, from 9:15 to 10:15, we have Mastering Dynamics 365 Field Service, a strategic approach to avoid implementation pitfalls, and that is in location 214D. Lots to remember. Oh, and don't forget, Ludia Consulting's booth at 12:17. Can't miss it. It'll have green on it like this. So it's perfect.
Yeah,
I'll be sure to bring my green swag.
It's gonna be like, I think it's like 20 feet tall or something crazy like that. So you're gonna see us everywhere.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to it, Lucas. It's been a pleasure having you on, talking about AI and field service, and of course our altruism here at Ludia. Really looking forward to seeing you again in person, and maybe doing a little heckle in some of the sessions. No, just kidding.
Bring it.
I'll bring my Lucas Diaz banner, and it'll be good. No, it'll be fun. I look forward to seeing you again, and we'll be in your sessions and giving you some softballs.
Fantastic, Scott. Always more than welcome to one of the experts. You're like a 17 million time Microsoft Field Service MVP, man. So I bow to you and your knowledge as well. So totally looking forward to it. Thank you for having me as well. And It's a pleasure to be able to just talk about everything here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a pleasure. And we thank you for coming on, and we thank our listeners for tuning in and hearing about everything that we have to say. So thank you, everyone, for your time. Enjoy the remainder of your day or evening whenever you decide to listen to it. And please stay tuned for our next episode. Thanks,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Thank you, Scott, for having me.
My pleasure.